I am just a community member, volunteered to give this opening reflection. I'm happy to live in a democracy, even with all of its shortcomings. And we need to be reminded that a democracy is a participatory sport. We cannot sit on the sideline and expect it to work. We have the opportunity to engage in ideas and discussions with which we disagree. And although the system is supposed to be, although our system operates on a basis of majority rule, it is a system that is supposed to protect the inalienable rights and civil rights of all. Fairness and justice should be our goal. Three of my heroes summed it up this way. Whitney Young said, "We may have all come here on different ships, but we are now in the same boat." Booker T. Washington said, "The laws of changeless justice binds oppressor with oppressed, and close as wrong and suffering joined, we march to fate abreast." And Martin Luther King said, "We are caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality tied to a single garment of destiny." We have an opportunity. Let us not lose it. Let us be engaged and take advantage of the privileges we have. Thank you and welcome.
I have a couple opening statements. Secretary of the Republican Party, Hank Fuhs, is co-chair. Co-moderator, Brian Blakely, chair of the Kent County Black Caucus, is a co-moderator as well. I'm Paul Mayhue, I'm the moderator. And I just want to read a little statement because we are in a precarious time at this point in time. I said that the sponsors of this event is Voices Not Heard in Michigan, the IGE Talks, the Institute of Global Education, the Kent County Black Caucus, the Grand Rapids Urban League. We thank the Democratic and Republican parties for being willing participants. Third-party candidates are welcome as well. On this day in history, we started out as just a meet the candidate before the primary so that folks could see who you were before the primary. Most of the time when we have events, we have the after the primary, but people need to understand that in order to get your candidate in, you need to know who in the primary is running, and this is what this is, to let people know who that person is, So the events of the hour and day now put us at the interest of a total paradigm shift in our country and state. The racial divide seems to be catching up to us in a very visible way. There is nowhere to run or hide from where we are today. We are left with our thinking capacity and our ability to build positive relationships. The death of innocent black people on the hands of police is unacceptable. Also, the innocent police officer's death at the hands of snipers is not acceptable either. Just as the innocent people of Flint got poisoned by dirty water, some died of Legionnaire's disease. That is not acceptable either. Let us not be lulled into street justice against each other. Rome was destroyed from the inside, not the outside. It was ate up from the inside. So if we understand what's happening, we're carnaging each other from the inside. We can do something about this. The candidates that we have today, you guys are the leaders on the front line of talking to people. It is your opinion and how you say your opinion that's going to help shape the future as we leave this building today, because the future is that instant. So this leaves us with our ability to communicate. Our ability to communicate is paramount in terms of how we conduct ourselves henceforth. Hank? Brian?
Well said, Paul, well said. And my name's Hank Fuhs. I'm Secretary of the Michigan Republic Committee, and I'm very proud of it. But I got to tell you, I'm very proud of my friend Paul. We've been doing this stuff for 40 years, and he's my friend, okay? He's my brother, and we understand how important the city of Grand Rapids and these communities and the whole county of Kent. The only way we're going to succeed is all working together. And to all of these people who are running for office, let's give them a big round of applause because they've taken time out of their schedules to come down. Thank you for being involved. Thank you for participating in this program. Let's tell it like it is, make it happen, because everybody over here, get your questions ready to go, because we are going to have fun tonight. We're going to be informative. This is on TV. It's going to be 3 different areas, and we got the GVU is covering us, the Grand Rapids Press is covering us. It's going to be all over the place. So your time is going to be well spent. Thank you very much. And now, Brian.
Good evening, everybody. We got, what, 3 people out there? Good evening, everybody. There you go. My name is, like I said, my name is Brian Blakely. I'm the chairman of the Kent County Black Caucus. And in a nutshell, the Black Caucus, the Kent County Black Caucus, our goal is to further the African American community politically, because we really need to move further along politically, because we are not afforded certain opportunities. And if we are better represented in those positions in our community, then we can do things a lot better. Amen? Another thing, I want to encourage you guys to get an absentee vote, because an absentee ballot, because come November election, the straight ticket vote will be eliminated. It will not be available anymore, and so the lines will be a lot longer, because you have to go through and check off each person that you're going to vote for, or you're intending to vote for. And so if you get a absentee ballot, it's going to do 2 things. It's going to shorten the lines. It's going to better educate you about the candidates that are running for the certain positions that you're voting for. So please request an absentee vote, a ballot.
I just saw something yesterday from a black minister out of Dallas, and I thought the 4 words says it all for what everybody's doing. Gloves down, hands out. I thought that was the very, very short, sweet, and to the point. That'll make our community even stronger than it is.
Kate from IGE.
Hello, I'm Kate Shockey, and I'm on the board of the Institute for Global Education, and we're one of the sponsors of this event, and we're glad that you could all come. And with our office is right next door, we would appreciate any donations to help pay for this. We're hoping that we can do it again before the general election, because I think it's very informative. And also, I want to invite all of you to our Nelson Mandela Day celebration, which will be this Saturday at the IGE office, which is next door, and at the Wealthy Annex. We're going to have a lot of fun things to do and some serious discussions. Thank you.
So, without further ado, we're going to move into what we're supposed to be here for, and that is to listen to the candidates. So, Hank, how do you think we're going to do this?
Well, I think we ought to bring the judges up first.
Yeah, let's bring the judges and then the state reps and state senate candidates. Let's bring all the state reps, state senate candidates, and the judges right now.
Come on up.
Come on up. judges, state reps, state senate candidates. Come on up.
You can be a Democrat or a Republican.
Yep, or a Demopublican. We're going to give you, the concept about what we were talking about is we want to give everybody 2 minutes to talk, say your name, a powerful statement so that people can remember you, to remember you by. And then we'll give you 2 minutes apiece, and then we'll kind of free flow, and if there's questions and stuff like that from the audience, we'll figure out how to do that going forward. Amen? I mean, right on? Right on. Okay. All right. And of course, Supreme Court, this is Supreme Court first. Come on, the Judge Thomas.
Good evening. I am Judge Deborah Thomas, and I am a candidate for the Michigan Supreme Court. That race will be on the ballot in November. But Michigan's a big state, so I'm getting started now. I'm running on a platform of restorative justice. Restorative justice accepts the concept that through the courts, through programs that are offered, sponsored, operated by the court, we can heal the individual, we can improve the individual, we can heal the family, the community, our state. I have started the largest veterans treatment court in Michigan, located in Wayne County Circuit Court. Thank you. I have gone across the state of Michigan for the last 12 years, offering community legal educational forms for free on expungement of your criminal record, how to resolve issues through the friend of the court, firearm laws, and safety. Any issue that our community has, and I consider the state of Michigan my entire community. If you've got a question, I'm going to do my best to bring the educational answer that will help solve the problem. Again, I am Judge Deborah Thomas. If you'd like to learn more, my webpage is easy. Judge Deborah, and that's Deborah, the biblical spelling, Judge Deborah Thomas, THOMAS.com. JudgeDeborahThomas.com, Judge Deborah Thomas for Michigan Supreme Court, Restorative Justice.
Thank you. All right, all right. I think we got Mrs. Jane Markey here, and you're setting in for someone else.
Professor Kurt Benson, attorney Kurt Benson, longtime radio show host of the Lawyer's Show, Kurt Benson, and your neighbor of 45 years at Morrison Wealthy, Kurt Benson, is 6'5" and bald. I am not Kurt Benson. I am Judge Jane Markey. I'm a judge on the Michigan Court of Appeals, and I too am your neighbor. But I am here to support Kurt Benson, and he is at another event just for the judge candidates up the road. I've been a Court of Appeals judge for 21 years, and my job is to find and correct any errors that were made by circuit court judges. I've also had the honor of serving for you as your Grand Rapids District Court judge for 4 years. So for 25 years, I've had the absolute privilege of serving as a judge in this state. I'm only telling you that as a preface for why I am supporting Kurt Benson. Judges are that long forgotten area of the law, the third branch of government. But once we are elected, ladies and gentlemen, you have us for a really, really long time. And so although we don't get a lot of coverage from the media, they're not very fun or sexy campaigns, the fact is, if you elect the right people, that's great. But if you elect the wrong people, that's not so great. In Kurt Benson, you have a man of extraordinary legal abilities. He's probably one of the most brilliant legal minds I've ever met in my life. And I see thousands and thousands of lawyers in my own 35-year law career. But he's also a man of incredible integrity. But also from our perspective, what do we want? We want someone who understands the community we live in, the times we live in, the turbulent times. Thank you so much. Kurt Benson's literature is out front, and it's Benson for the bench. Thank you for letting me stand in here for tonight, and thank you, gentlemen, for letting me do this. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Judge Deb McNabb. Did I say that right? McNabb, I'm sorry.
Good evening. I'm Deb McNabb. I'm actually Deborah, spelled the biblical way, the same as Judge Thomas. I am running for the brand new circuit court judgeship here in Kent County that was created by the county commission back in December, specifically to serve the family division of circuit court. I have been a circuit court referee serving in the family division for the last 24 years, hearing abuse, neglect, juvenile delinquency, domestic relations, that would be divorce, personal protection orders, anything having to do with children and families. I am passionate about that work. As I said, I've been doing it for 24 years. I still love it. I particularly have a heart for children who are in the system through no fault of their own, and I'm always looking out for the best interests of the children and families in this community. I want to serve as your next circuit judge in that new position. It is a different position than Kurt Benson is running for. There are 2 circuit positions this year. My position, the new judgeship, does not have a primary. There are only 2 of us running, so I will not be on the ballot until November. But I wanted to get out here and say hello now. I do have a website. It is www.mcnabb4judge.com, and I ask for your vote. And thank you very much for your time.
Okay, so that takes care of the judicial part of our program. Right now, I'm going to ask, we're going to do the state reps, and after we do the state reps, then we're going to have a little query back and forth. How about that? Is that all right? All right. State reps. David, you told me that you had a prior engagement, so I'm going to let you come up here right now.
Evening, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Glad you're all out and working on participatory democracy. I am the state rep right now for the 75th, which we're sitting in, I think, although essentially Grand Rapids right now is represented by 2 people. My friend Winnie Brinks, who is not here tonight, wasn't able to be here, and myself. I'm never quite sure where the dividing lines go. But so here partly to say greetings from both of us, and we have offices next door, and we're working hard in Lansing to try to give voice to a lot of the concerns that our community has. And I will just briefly tell you what I've been working on in Lansing in the last 3 months and what I hope to work on when I go back. Principally 3 areas. One is I think there's a lot of work to be done to instantiate and drill down on real economic opportunity in this community. And one of the things I'm very proud of is that I've sponsored and authored a series of bills to enable B corporations, which are corporations that are community-based, community-grounded, and try to give back to the community. That legislation's pending, but I'm excited by that prospect. I continue to want to think about how we can make sure that opportunities exist in our community for everyone and not just for the wealthy. The second thing that I've been working on diligently is our educational system in Michigan. I think that we, frankly, are underfunding our public education system. I think that we need to work hard on that. I think that one of the things that I'm proud of in the last 2 or 3 months is I worked on a package to reform our school discipline system so that to shift away from what we've been doing for decades, which is really bad. It's sort of a put kids out model. It's we discipline by suspending and expelling, which doesn't do the kids any good, doesn't solve any problems, and puts children at risk out in the community when they should be in school. And so I've authored and we passed a series of laws that would pivot towards restorative practices rather than expelling and suspending. I'm very proud of that. Third area that I'm going to be working on very hard is criminal justice reform. We have far too many people locked up in our state. Mass incarceration is a huge problem. It's a problem that disproportionately affects minorities. It disproportionately affects the poor. It disproportionately affects people with mental health illness. And so that's something that I want to work on. That is a complicated issue, vastly, vastly more complicated than I can tell you about in 2 minutes. Complex problems that get created over decades don't get solved with one silver bullet. So there are a lot of issues there that I hope to work on. I will be on the ballot in November. I don't have a primary opponent, but thanks again, all of you, for being out tonight. David LeGrand, I'm sorry, I'm representing the 75th. David LeGrand.
Here you go, Hank.
Good job, Dave. Now we have Lynn. Come on up here. Let's give her a big round of applause and make things happen. And tell us a little story about what's going to happen.
Thank you very much. My name is Lynn Mason, and I am the Democratic candidate running for state rep in the 86th district, which is 1/3 Ionia County, 2/3 Kent County. I am proud to have been born, grew up, and raised my family in the 86th district. I'm a retired teacher, a former 4-term Ionia County commissioner. My husband Frank and I, we live on an apple farm. And I have 40 years of community service. I think I'm the best qualified candidate running for the 86th district. When listening to the voters in all parts of the 86th district, what I hear from them is anger, concern, and a feeling of they're invisible to the people that are supposed to be representing them. I hear about a lack of accountability, a lack of transparency. I hear of poisoned water, crumbling roads, and too many children in their young school children classes. They tell me they want a representative who does good work and says what she means and means what she says. When one party controls everything in Lansing, from the governor's office to the attorney general, there are no checks and balances, and things can go wrong. I think it's made their vision a bit murky. If elected, some of my priorities will be working to have a real, long-term, sustainable plan for infrastructure that gets done now, that hires people from Michigan and pays them a fair wage. I will be fighting to keep the privateers and profiteers from pocketing the money that's supposed to be going into our public schools and for our children. I will be looking for good ideas and good policy, no matter where it comes from, and pushing it through, and not get bogged down about personalities and arguing and criticizing. The people say they want good work to happen in Lansing. If you'd like to learn more about me, go to my website, which is lynnmasonworks.com. I'd appreciate your support, any money that you might give, and if you live in the 86, I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. Let's give our timekeeper a big round of applause. He's doing a good job. All right. And now, Casey O'Neill, a little bit of the Irish coming up here.
All right.
You are Irish. I've got myself on the limb.
Thank you very much to all three of you guys. I appreciate the opportunity, and as I'm sure all the other candidates do as well. Like Hank said, my name is Casey O'Neill. I am running for state representative in the 76th district, which is about half of the city of Grand Rapids. I've been a longtime resident of the city and also owned a small business in the city for over a decade. I've, in both of those, in living in the city and in having a company in the city, I've gotten to experience a lot and see a lot of the needs that we have. And in jumping into this race, I've been able to talk to a number of different people who are involved in the community that I'm looking to represent. And there are two things that everybody is looking for. Number one, we want our kids to get a good education. And number two, we want local jobs. I would say probably everyone in this room, if I asked you, do you want to work, you'd all raise your hand. The problem is we're not creating an environment where we can have those jobs for everybody. And that's where I think I come into play well, because I've been in the business world, I've been in the industrial world for quite a long time. I understand the nuances of it, what it needs, and I know what we can do to get that industrial sector the needs that it has. A big one is the skilled trades, and I don't know how many of you are involved in any sort of capacity in the industrial world, but it's a big issue. We have companies not developing, we have companies leaving our state, our country, and we have people going without jobs because we're not training people in the skilled trades. And I think this specifically goes into our high schools. Our high school kids and younger need to know that the skilled trades are a viable and lucrative option for them out of high school. If we continue to just push college, we're going to end up with way more college graduates and not the support system that we need to keep the industrial sector staying in Michigan. Just as an example, so I partnered with Grand Rapids Public Schools, and I'm working with them through some of the people in our industry in West Michigan, as well as a lot of my customers who are in the industrial world, to get high schoolers to come experience our trades. The biggest key in all of this is making sure that they are aware and can have an experience in a trade, because it will open their eyes very quickly to how great of a job it is, number one, and how much money they can make, number two. Getting the skilled trades back in our high schools will serve to do many things, but one of them, it will bring back the middle class, which I think this city is dying for. So anyways, that's one issue, and I'd also just real quick like to echo Judge Thomas's pursuit of restorative justice. Our city needs that. The people that live in the city need that, and it'll all come back to bringing back the middle class. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. Now we have Deb Havens.
Hi there. So in the interest of developing a memorable presentation, my campaign is sort of like that snowball's chance, the one that is down in the nether regions. And I've been told this by a number of experts in the field who base that on the number of Republican registered voters and Democrats in the township areas for which I'm running, which is District 73, kind of the north portion of Kent County. Now, the question is, how badly do you want change? Because if you're happy with the fact that our current legislature and governor's office have imposed what is called a business model on the operation of our state, which has resulted in public schools going broke, prison systems that are overcrowded, contracts that are poorly executed. Obviously, our infrastructure is a wreck or close to it. I hope you've avoided it. So if you want to accept the status quo, if you want to accept gerrymandered districts, if you want to accept that what has been going on is good news for Michigan, then I really will continue to have a snowball's chance. It's up to the people of Michigan to decide how much they want to put up with and how much they want a new and improved approach to public service. Again, my name is Deb Havens, and that's District 73, the northern and eastern townships in Kent County. Thanks for coming tonight. Appreciate your interest, and I think you and your interest are the best wave of that possible change. Thanks again.
Ryan Galloway.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Galloway. I'm running as a Republican in the District 72 House seat. I first want to say thank you to everybody for hosting this, and especially all of you for coming out tonight. It's an important part of being a representative or really any service position, to be able to go in front of the voters and be willing to answer questions publicly and on the record. So I'm glad to be here, and I look forward to any questions you may have. I am a social studies teacher. I've taught for the past 13 years. I've taught a whole variety of things in social studies, but mainly it's been government and history. And in that time, I've always encouraged my students to get actively involved, and I feel as somebody that asks that of others, it's my responsibility to do that as well. I'm not somebody with a whole lot of elected experience, none. I've been in the classroom talking about it. But in the last several months, I've been lucky enough to build quite a large group of supporters. I have been able to get the endorsement of the Chamber of Commerce, the Grand Rapids Association of Realtors, and I could go on and continue that list. Now, the list itself obviously is rewarding to me, but what it really is important in a way that it shows that I can build some consensus opinion, that I have the ability to work with others. These are groups where I had no connections prior, but in the past several months, these groups have come and believe that I can make a difference. Now, there are a lot of reasons I believe I can be a good state representative. There are a lot of things that I'm interested in, but above all of those things, it would be educational reform in our state. I believe our school systems really need a pretty significant overhaul in order to get back to the kind of quality education we expect for the next generation of our state. I have taught for 13 years, both in public and private school. I think that gives me a tremendous perspective that really just doesn't exist in Lansing right now. And I think a lot of people believe in that mission and why I'm running. I believe wholeheartedly that our changes really need to start at the bottom, the foundation of school. My effort really is going to be on focusing on K through 3 education and building that up, really putting in stronger guidelines and better support to make those foundational years more successful. That will have a positive effect down the road. A lot of us running for office will talk about all the things that we want to do, but getting it done is always the trick. And I believe in the last few months I have shown that a lot of people believe in me, that I can be a problem solver instead of somebody that just runs talking about all the problems in the state. That I'm there to make the changes to help us all. So thank you. Have a great night. Thank you for being willing to listen. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. All right. Our next person is Ronald Herriman. Hear it. I'm sorry, brother. Libertarian. Come on up, brother.
Thank you for the warm welcome here. Yes, I am the Libertarian candidate for the 73rd District. One that somebody doesn't know exists. I am running for change, period. There is a wind blowing right now that needs to be addressed. There are things that need to be addressed by the people. They can be addressed if we take the bull by the horns and work together. We don't need necessarily outside interference. We don't need necessarily government all the time. Sometimes you just got to get your hands dirty, get down to business, and get it done. Now, those of us who are in the produce business and in the farming business know what it's like to have to fix a tractor in the middle of a field, pick apples in the middle of the night to avoid a frost, pack them and store them. We've stored Mrs. Mason's apples a long time in our family business. We do what we have to do to get it done to make it work. It's the same thing with the water system. We know is screwed up, but it's not just Flint. It is the entire eastern United States. The justice system needs to be fixed.
Amen.
Yes. And I look forward to working with David LeGrand, who will probably be the elected representative of the 75th District. My condolences to Mr. O'Neill. He's sure going to make a gallant pitch to provide jobs for people, and that's important too. But it's going to take hands-on work, and people just have to get down to it, and we have to talk about it. We have to look at fully informed juries. We have to look at the jury system. It's a mess. People need to be selected for juries within the district where the crime was committed. No ifs, ands, or buts. We shouldn't have any. I think it was Clarence, not Clarence Thomas, but prior to Clarence Thomas, another black representative on the court also stated we need to get rid of preemptive challenges. So there's just a few things to think about: fully formed juries, preemptive challenges, and many other things. Hey, thanks for the microphone, Hank, and thanks for the letter last time I ran.
Thank you. You're welcome. Let's give him a big round of applause. Just part of our inclusion. So, Paul. So now, go ahead. Sure. We're going to ask all of our participants up here to please go back down, okay, if you would. And then we're going to ask everybody to be asking questions, but we're going to bring everybody up so we don't lose everybody who took the time to come out, so you hear every single person you want to hear from. Right, Paul?
Right. So we're going to ask everybody that's up here to be down there, and then we're going to ask the other candidates. I think we got county commission candidates, countywide candidates. We want you to come up, but we might even have school board candidates. But we want the rest of the candidates to come back up here and assume these seats. And so let's keep rolling.
Oh my goodness. That's my favorite book. Do you like this book? Do you want this book? We can read this book every day. Oh, that's a good one. As a bulldozer clears the way. Our building project is almost done. We worked very hard today. So can you tell me where I just read?
I know it's weird. Later today, I can come back later.
What can you say? Is there something you can say to welcome someone?
That's a great idea. So if I reach out my hand and say hello, is it easy to forgive somebody, or is it sometimes hard? Sometimes it's really hard. It takes a lot of patience. So we're going to plant some seeds of forgiveness. I got 4 cups, and then cover it up. And then you take that pot home and you water it. Okay.
Oh, you need your sticker, don't you?
You on the eye?
All right, let's put this right here.
All right.
You need to go, and then you can decorate it.
Hello.
Like a watermelon, that's healthy.
Oh, yeah, right?
Hey, one more thing before you guys go. Okay.
You couldn't stay longer.
You guys swear that you're always going to try to be peaceful? Yeah. Just sign in here. That's right.
All right. We got the longest mile right here. And this is great. This is the actual longest mile because we got a bunch of candidates, but it's good. Let's give a big round of applause for the candidates that have come out. And let's give a round of applause for the people that have been helping. The brother that's out front has been helping. And then the timer over here. We got people out front that's passing out literature and stuff. And we just appreciate everybody. So now, at this point, we want the countywide candidates to identify yourselves initially. That's one. Countywide. Countywide. So you got the sheriff and you got the prosecutor, clerk, two clerk, the drain commissioner. I'm going to start with the prosecutor. And then we're going to work from the prosecutor on down.
I thought that was a good move, Paul. We don't want to go to jail.
Yeah. We want the prosecutor to remember us when she's elected. Remember me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alita Bryant, and I currently work for the Kent County Defender's Office. I have been in that position in the trenches for over 22 years, representing the indigent of our community when they are charged with felony offenses. In that position, I'm actually aligned with David LeGrand and those that are pushing forward with the movement on criminal justice reform. I've actually dealt with the clients who've had families and the impact of having felony charges and how the collateral impact from that has affected their lives. If you want change, you have to then actively go out and seek it. I was actually requested to actually consider this role. I was being passive like everyone else in the beginning. I didn't think that I was the one that should get out and stand out for the little guy, the one that's unrepresented, until I realized if I don't, no one else will. I am here today to ask for your support in trying to uproot status quo. If you want change, if you want to move people from being responsible to being productive, that path then requires then that we charge them differently. You still hold them accountable, but you have to give people a chance if you expect them then to be able to succeed later on and become productive members of our community. In order to do that, you have to first identify the class of people that will benefit from what the bipartisan positions of people in Lansing are doing right now as far as trying to reduce our criminal population. But to put it in a more general approach, folks, when people get in trouble, it's generally because they make bad decisions. They're not bad people. And as such, they should be given a chance in order to correct the wrongs that they have done and to move forward. That approach helps everyone, not just them, their families, but the community as well. Because that one person, maybe we can get off drugs, that can become clean, that maybe become a skilled trades person, will begin to then give back to the community in which they live in. No longer will we be afraid of them stealing from stores or doing anything of that nature. But if you want change, you have to offer it to people. You have to give them hope. And that is what I stand for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just want to take a little point of privilege and announce that my wife is here, my wife Dee, who's my backbone, and she's really been helpful to me in my whole life and my career. So her and my granddaughter and my daughter Dania, they're all here. And my son Paul over here too, he's here. He's getting ready to graduate from college. Good Lord. So the next person is a countywide candidate in the name of
Rachel Hood.
Rachel Hood. All right. Come on down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayhue. Thanks for doing this. Good evening. My name is Rachel Hood, and I am the Democratic candidate for Kent County Drain Commissioner. I am resourceful, I am effective, and I am experienced. I have a 17-year career in watershed protection and community development. I spent 10 years in watershed management, stormwater policy, stormwater finance, and best practices. And the remainder of my career has been focused on healthcare and community development. I've brought millions of dollars into the community to build vibrant places, to protect our water and our natural resources. And I seek to use the Drain Commissioner seat to reduce Kent County's risk of flooding, to provide incentives to farmers, businesses, community institutions, and governments to capture stormwater where it falls, rather than allowing it to send pollutants into the Grand River and ultimately to Lake Michigan. By doing so, We can improve our water quality. We can value our farms and farmers. We can improve recreational amenities in the county. These issues are important. Recently, experts called the Grand River a ticking time bomb. You might have seen that in MLive. Climate change is impacting our community today with more intense and more frequent storms. If we are to protect our communities from water damage, and further, if we're to protect our water for our children and for their children, then we need a drain commissioner who will work hard. We need a drain commissioner who will be transparent and accountable and will protect communities, and we need that drain commissioner today. I think I'm the best one to do that job as a result of that 17 years of experience. You can learn more about me at hoodfordraincommissioner.com. And remember, I'm the very last person on the ballot, so if you haven't voted for Hood, your vote's no good. Thank you.
Now that's an impact statement. Now that's what I'm talking about. That is an impact statement. Hank?
Well, we have a congressional candidate. Let's give him a big round of applause. Doug Smith.
My name's Douglas Smith. I'm running for Congress in the 3rd District. This is the first time I've ran for any public office, and I'm a construction worker. I'm in the HVAC business. I've heard the talks of skilled trades up here. I've been doing that since I was 19 years old. I have almost 2 decades in the skilled trades. It does provide a good opportunity, good benefits, good health insurance for people out of high school that want to see an alternative an alternative to going to college. Another thing is I've been endorsed by the AFL-CIO, West Michigan Building Trades, Canionia Labor Council. I'm working with them really closely. I'm a union sheet metal worker, so bringing the unions and strengthening the unions forward is a passion of mine. I want to try to help them as much as I can. Our government is a union, and they collectively bargain their wages. They have a very good fringe benefit packages. So we need them to fight for those same things for us as well. I think that it's only fair that what's good for them is good for us, and what's good for us is good for them. Another thing is social justice, economic justice, racial justice. The complacency when it comes to issues like Flint water crisis bothers me. I grew up in the Grand Rapids public area, went to public schools, finished out in Crescent High School. And I think that we really need a sense of urgency when it comes to situations like Flint. Often we have our government that's going to that steps up and gets foreign aid to tragedies that happen overseas rather quickly, but then when it comes to tragedies here in the homeland, they drag their feet. I think this is this is terrible for those people in Flint. There's lives that are being impacted every day, and to take showers with water, bottled water, and live off bottled water, I don't know how many of us in here that'd be able to do that. So going home on vacations and leaving to enjoy their summer vacations without having a solution for these people in Flint is, in my eyes, it's unnecessary. It's something that should not happen. So we need urgency in our government. We don't need no more complacency when it comes to helping the people in need. And we need accountability on all levels. And, definitely, we definitely need to put body cameras on all levels of law enforcers. This is going to help the civilians and the law enforcers on both ends. My name again, Douglas Smith, smithformichigan.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you for being involved. And now we're going to go to the other county thing. A young man by the name of Chris Reeder is running for the Kent County Clerk, but I had to put a little side note. I hadn't seen him for many years. He's at least 22, right? But I did Air Force work, and I happened to have an honor to interview him for the Air Force Academy. And I got to tell you, I was so impressed then, and I'm so impressed that you're going to be involved now. Chris Reeder.
Thank you, Hank. So I am Chris Reeder. I'm the Democratic candidate for the Kent County Clerk in the Register of Deeds. And I really want to thank the IGE Talks, the Voices Not Heard in Michigan, the Kent County Black Caucus, and the Urban League for holding this event. It's really important. And I want to thank Wealthy Theater and the Grand Rapids Media Center for being our host tonight. So I'm running for Kent County Clerk. And that's the question I get most is what does a clerk do? So the clerk is really actually an important role in our community. They maintain all the vital records, which are like birth and marriage. They handle all the property records, which is where the Register of Deeds comes in. They handle all the circuit court records. And then they have other important roles like supervising elections. So a little bit about me. I've lived in the community all my life, except for when I went away to college, and I work in IT, information technology. I have a 20-year career in information technology right now. I work at Spectrum Health. If you've used any of the public-facing websites on Priority Health or Spectrum Health, I helped write those. And for the last decade, I've been really involved in our community. I've served on a number of boards and commissions. I've worked to revive our park system. I've worked to ensure that our street system's sustainable. I co-chaired and chaired 2 of the city master plans, and they've been vital in guiding and spurring investment in our community, and they will continue to help guarantee the economic vitality of our community for years to come. So given my information technology background and my community service, I believe that's prepared me to be a clerk who can modernize our systems and ensure that all our voices are included in the conversation. So my goals as county clerk are to build a responsible, inclusive, and accessible clerk's office, to be transparent in what I do and how I do it, to make voting more convenient and accessible, and streamline more services online. So I really want to thank you for coming out tonight. Again, my name is Chris Reeder. You can find me at readerforclerk.com or on Facebook at readerforclerk. I'm asking for your vote on August 2nd when I'm running unopposed. And more importantly, I would like your vote on November 8th when I am opposed. Thank you very much.
Next, we'll have Michael Scruggs running for Kent County Sheriff.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for receiving me today. I appreciate that. And I also thank the county sheriff for being here. He has done a great job in keeping this community safe. I just think that it's time for him to retire and let me present to you my managerial skills. We came for this position 4 years ago. We received 33% of the vote. We came back a couple of years and ran for state senate, and we received 49% of the vote. You all answered in the affirmative. The Scruggs campaign listened to your concerns, your issues. We come before you today because we believe that we can bring forth a new dimension, go forward, next step approach, that we can scrutinize the budget, look at various line items. We can decrease the population in our county jails, and we can do that by going maybe to citation versus incarceration. We don't have to lock so many people up. Those individuals that are stopped for low crime incidents or low infractions, that what we can do with them is give them citation, they can go straight to court. Cities can save thousands of dollars in booking fees and housing fees, and we can save man hours. Okay, as we go forward, we can do that. But we also have to look at community policing. We know that there are tension and a dissension in our community. We need to put forth community policing. So we want to reach out to our law enforcement partners. We want to make the collaboration with our community stakeholders. and see if we can put together a blue ribbon committee and see if we can put some things forward whereby that we can get along as a community. A lot can be done. I would like to use this statutory position not only to advocate with them, but to advocate on some other issues like mental health parity, the school-to-prison pipeline, the fact that we don't have enough minorities being selected on the jury pool, not just only in this county, across the country. A lot of things can be done. A lot I want to say in these 2 minutes. But we need you to come to the polls. Your vote is your voice. Your voice affects public policy. You have not been doing that. We need you to talk to your family, your friends. Because we want them to answer in the affirmative and get affirmation that we're trying to go forward with some new things to do, some new ideas, and we can do that. And the Squares campaign have that, what we need to go forward. Thank you.
Now we have running for County Commissioner Logan Arkema.
Thank you. My name is Logan Arkema. I am running for the Kent County Commission's 7th District, which is all of Grandville and a little bit of northwest Wyoming. I'm 18 years old, and I'm the youngest candidate running for elected office in the state of Michigan, as far as I know. I'm running for a multitude of reasons. The primary one of which is that the Kent County Commission is an office that not very many people know about and is a very unsexy office, but county commissions are nonetheless extremely important. And it's an office that, and it's a board that not many people go to with their concerns. And one of the things that I want to do is to use the age of global information technology and of instant information sharing that I have grown up in. I want to be able to use that technology and that era that I have grown up familiar with to share what's going on in the commission with the people of Kent County so that it's easier for local government to interact with the people inside the county to make it so that your concerns and the concerns of all people inside Kent County can be heard easier and can have greater conversation with the commission and the community. I also want to make sure that we're working towards environmental sustainability. And the environment is something that is of great concern to me. It's something that I'm going to grow up with, and it's a threat that is very, very real to my future and to the future of all of us. I want to make sure that we're looking into different and new technologies to make Kent County a leader in ensuring that our resources are sustainable, that our energy that we're using is sustainable, and that not only is it sustainable, that we can eventually find resources like solar technology and wind energy that can eventually pay for themselves. And by implementing those technologies slowly and over a long period of time, we can make sure that that is cost effective and that it eventually creates energy for itself. I'll try to be succinct, so if you want to learn more about me, you can go to my website at loganforkentcounty.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Thank you very much.
Whoa, I am impressed. I know how much I don't know. And he just hit it. Wow, that's pretty good. Thank you very much, and thanks for being involved. And Mike Booker, come on up here. He's running for the county commission. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. My name is Michael Booker, and I will bring sexiness back to the county commission. My thing is, let's get serious. The time is right now. We've got disparity on our police force. We've got disparity in our community. We need to bring that back. I grew up in a time when my dad was a cop for 25 years on the Grounds Police Department. It was community back then. He never used his gun as a deterrent for crime. And my thing, he talked to us. He knew how to communicate. He knew how to take you aside and say, hey, look, what you're doing is wrong. And just the fact that he carried a badge was respect. And I think we need to bring that back in our community with our kids. We need to teach our kids respect in the classroom. We need to teach our kids respect in the community. And don't be afraid of our kids. get out there and talk. I was involved in the initial, where they had so-called gangs in Grand Rapids. We went out 2 by 2, a group of us, college fellas of mine, into the community, walked in targeted neighborhoods where there was drug infested. We cleaned up the neighborhood, and we talked to the people involved. Hey, what they need? What do you want? We want jobs. We want somebody who will listen to us. So the time is now is to talk to us. Get out the police cars and talk in the community. Don't be afraid, because the psychology is there. When you're in the car, you're not communicating. You're saying, I'm the law, and that's it. You obey me. We need to change all that. We need to have more community meetings, such as this. I've been involved with IGA. I thank Paul, Chet. Every Thursday night, we come out and let our voices be heard. It was an avenue to express that we're doing something in our own community. I was born and raised, 25 years. I was the first product of desegregation. I don't know, the Wealthy Street Church now was Michigan Oak back in the day. We got bussed out there into the white neighborhood. That allowed me the chance to meet new friends. I never knew about Spider-Man sheets until my friend invited me over to his house. And I said, Mom, I want some Spider-Man sheets. Where are my sheets? And she said, go outside, look in the back. They're hanging on the wall with a rim around it. So I got teased for peeing in the bed. But that'll happen no more, because I built relationships. And that's what we need to do, is bring the community together. So thank you. Vote Mike Booker for a new change in Grand Rapids. 16th District, Kent County.
That was so good. Thank you. Robert S. Womack, let's give him a big round of applause, and come on up. I got it right, Robert? I almost screwed it up, and I would have been a dead man on that one. Robert, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody at Wealthy Theater. Hello. I want to take a moment of silence for the 5 officers that did die in Dallas this week.
Please stand up.
Would you please stand up? I would also like to take a moment of silence for Alton Sterling and Philando Castile. Thank you. All lives matter. And while you're sitting, we'll also take a moment of silence for everyone that died from the faulty water in Flint. I've been going down helping with that situation. I start this with respect to life to let you know that your vote is sometimes that important. It's always that important. It's life and death. It's life and death. I came to public service because of 2 men that I worked with. One was Dirk Coney, who actually had me on the finance committee and the fundraising board for this very building and the media center when he brought that back to this community along with others. Also, I was called to duty volunteering for Robert Ledoux in community empowerment. I'm also on the Restorative Justice Board with David LeGrand here in Grand Rapids looking for restorative justice. And I'm the president of 94.9 FM. I'm running for the Kent County Commission. When you study the Kent County Commission, you will find out they have $37 million in reserve. And most of the time they look at that, as long as we have that, we have a AAA bonding. But at the same time, some of that money can be used to make sure we're making sure there is no houses left in Grand Rapids with lead. We talk about the Flint water crisis. We forget here in Kent County, we do have leaded paint that has hurt generations upon generations of children, and it is time that we make sure there is no house left with lead paint and get that education out. With that surplus, we need to give more support to our Kent County citizens with disabilities. In my district, the 17th district, there is not one Kent County park. Not at all. We leave a lot of that on the city of Grand Rapids, but it's time for Kent County to support these municipalities and give fair representation for your taxation, for the taxes you pay to Kent County. Those are some of the reasons that I am running for Kent County. I also want to stop some of the recidivism rate at the Kent County Jail. Well, the biggest percentage of people that come back to the Kent County Jail have already been there. When we look at Network 180, and we continue to finance that, but we must make sure that we're sending the right people to our mental health services and not sending those people to the county jail because there's not enough education about the great resources we do have here in Kent County. We also need career politicians to not run to jump in front of the situation with the police force and black communities. We've already been there. Our career politicians on TV are saying we're going to jump in front of this. It's too late. We've lost too many lives. I'm running to be proactive at 17th District, Kent County Commission. My name is Robert Womack. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Next, we have, I don't even have to do that. She's here. Thank you, Candace.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, my name is Candace Chivas, and I am the current County Commissioner for District 17. I was first elected in 2010, took my seat in 2011, and the reason I ran in 2010 is I felt there needed to be a voice. I'm a single mom, I've used the health department, I've used friend of the court, and at the time there were no commissioners who had actually used some of those county services. And there still aren't. So I'm still the only voice that actually has said, yeah, I was a WIC client, and yes, I am still a friend of the court client. Since being elected, I have stood up for veterans. I'm a veteran myself. I served on the Veterans Subcommittee. I do get quite a few constituents who are veterans who will call me with asking for help with navigating we have a fantastic Veteran Services Department, but it still can be a little intimidating. I've really worked to ensure that residents have had quality health care by working with the health department. There was recently a situation at the corner of Hall and Madison involving some poisonous vapor, which put some people out of their homes and put a couple of nonprofits out of their office space for a few weeks, and I was working very closely with the health department on that situation. I've also helped to appoint diverse citizens to our various boards and commissions. We need to have diversity and diverse voices so that we know how to make the proper decisions. I've served on the ACCET board, which has helped foster economic development in Kent County. And last but not least, I have served as a voice to stand up for the LGBT community. So I'm just going to remind you to re-elect me on August 2nd. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Dave Bukowski. Come on up, Bukowski.
All right. And he is. Yes, my name is David Bulkowski, and I'm currently the County Commissioner for the 16th District. You can see it from here. When you walk out tonight, across the street is the 16th. Believe it or not, it goes all the way to across the street from West Catholic, and it goes into the Ottawa Hills neighborhood. That's a symbol of one of the things that we need to work as a community is continue to get out the vote. There are just shy of 50% of our county votes Democratic, and we only have 20% of the seats on the county commission. Why? Because people are not voting, so then our voices aren't being heard when it comes time to redistrict. And so next redistricting won't happen until after the 2020 census. But you got to get everybody out to vote as often as you can. This coming election, 3 weeks from tomorrow, I'd like your support to get myself reelected for my third term. I've only been on the commission for 3.5 years, but I'm not new to working with the county commission. Believe it or not, this October is the 20th anniversary of the county commission voting against the creation of a countywide transit authority. The good news is in the last 20 years, we've actually created a thing called the Rapid. I've served as the co-chair of the Friends of Transit for all of its campaigns. And we've built an award-winning transit system in the city of Grand Rapids that still needs help. For example, you cannot get to the jobs on 3 Mile Road in Walker from this very spot unless you're willing to walk 2 miles from the nearest bus stop. We have to work on that. Also, as I said and congratulated the people from Switch that came in and got some tax breaks, they need to work with us so we can get to switch from here, because you have to walk about 3 miles into Gaines Township from the nearest bus stop to get to that place of employment. That's some of the reasons why when the right place was into the county bragging up about how great our county is, top 10 this, top 10 that, top 10, all these lists, we are the second worst community in the United States for black opportunity. That was brought up by myself and a couple of other commissioners, and the right place said, oh yeah, we're working on that. We haven't seen a plan. We haven't seen some accountability measures. We need to continue to do that. That's one reason why I would like to get reelected, as we continue to put that accountability in front of the folks that do have a lot of resources to connect people to opportunity. As was already noted, we have a serious lead issue in this community. It has very little, if anything, to do with our water. It has to do with our paint. The cost is about $10,000 a house. Sounds like a lot of money. That's about less than 1/3 of a year in prison if a child suffers the consequences of non-brain development and goes down that path. Will we invest in those children? We know where these houses are. We know who own those houses, and we choose not to do something. I've been working with the director of the health department to put a proposal together, so hopefully we're able to, as it also was noted, that we do have a few extra dollars at the county that we choose not to spend, that we can proactively spend that on some lead issues. And again, August 2, Dave Bulkowski, davebulkowski.com. Believe it or not, no one else had that address. So there you go.
Next, we have Stan Ponstein.
I'm not good at holding mics. I may have a prop or something. I heard one of the candidates earlier speak that she was running and didn't think that she had a snowball chance of winning. 36 years ago, someone told me that I didn't have a snowball chance of winning. At that time, I was 19 years old, and I went on to win that election, served 21 years on the Granville School Board, and I found it was one of the most rewarding periods of my life. I recommend it to anyone to serve on a school board at least once in your lifetime. It'll be life-changing. After I saw my opponent, if I'm lucky enough to get by my primary challenge, I'll be running against a youngster that's got a lot of tech ideas, new ideas, which is good. I mean, that's what the younger generations out there, they need to be involved, and change is good. Now, that may spell trouble for me because I don't have a website. I don't have a smartphone. I have all this stuff. And my wife tells me that I can see the battery on my flip phone, that's not a good thing. So Logan, it might be an easy vote if it's between his technology and mine. I just want to tell you that, at the end of the day, maybe I come from a different mold. Instead of reaching out to technology to do all my communicating, I find the most effective thing is when people go out and talk to people face to face. And that's our police officers getting out of the car, walking in the communities. One of my favorite speeches of all time is Robert Kennedy's memorial of Martin Luther King after he had passed away in Indianapolis. And he went on to say that we've had difficult times in the past. We've got difficult times today, and we're going to have difficult times in the future. But at the end of the day, the vast majority of blacks and whites, and I'll even throw in Hispanics now, get along, and we want to do what's right. And the only way we're going to do is right if we begin talking with each other, get our priorities straight, because at the end of the day, there's not a lot of difference between everyone up here and what we're saying. I think we know what's good for Kent County and the surrounding areas, but we do have to work together. And that's something that I've prided myself on. That's something that my parents taught me at a young age, is that to get involved, talk to people, communicate, and treat them with respect. That's the most important thing. So once again, Stan Ponstein, County Commissioner. I represent the city of Granville, where I've lived all my life, in the northern part of the city of Wyoming. I take great pride in being an elected official. I don't consider myself a politician. I take great pride representing people. And it's been a great honor to be here tonight, especially with two of my friends, Hank and Paul. I've watched them from afar. We're black and white, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. What they've done in the fight for mental health in this county is just outstanding. And that's the example that we've got to look to, is that if we work together and talk to each other, great things can happen. Thanks for having me tonight. Have a great night. Have a great rest of the summer.
Next, I know we have to try to stay as neutral as possible, but this is my buddy right here, Jim Talent.
Thanks, Brian. You like old guys, don't you? I'm in my 16th year as a county commissioner. I spent 8 years in the 1990s, took 8 years off in the aughts, and was elected again in 2008, and I'm in my 8th year, so 8 on, 8 off, 8 back on. I've served 7 years on the Grand Rapids Downtown Development Authority, 7 years on the Network 180 Community Mental Health Board, and I work full-time for the Grand Rapids Area Coalition to End Homelessness. That's been an interesting and blessed resume. And I think that it's enabled me and equipped me to serve what I think is one of the most diverse districts in Kent County. The 15th district that I represent and have represented for 8 years now starts up right just to the west, runs between Wealthy Street and Fulton, begins at Eastern Avenue, catches a bit of East Hills, some of Heritage Hill, some of downtown, goes down Granville Avenue, all the way down to Garfield Park, some of Alger Heights, catches Meyer at 28th and Kalamazoo, and then heads south to Kalamazoo and 44th Street. How does that happen? Some people call it gerrymandering. I call it a blessing. I've been blessed to represent a very diverse district. I think that the experiences that I have every day now, serving on those boards, give me a unique perspective, and I hope that I'll be able to receive the support of the community to continue in that service for another 2 years. Thank you.
I'm going to bring up Tony Baker. His real name is Dr. Tony Baker, and he's running. So we'd like to give him a big round of applause. How's that?
Thanks a lot. Tony Baker, running for 18th District Kent County Government, which is the northeast side, Fulton, and then cuts over to the river around Knapp, and so large area. Currently, I'm the Director of Community Engagement at Fair State University and a professor of sociology, but I know this community, and I think most of the people in the community know me from my work as a Grand Rapids Public School Board member, where I've been a board member for the last 8 years. Like Stan said, I think it has by far been the most amazing and rewarding professional experience of my life. And it's been an incredibly special 8 years to be a part of the school board. I'm currently the chair now, and it's pretty amazing that Grand Rapids Public Schools, which was in much disarray 8 years ago, is now considered a model urban school system. And largely that's because of work of people I know in this room in front of me and behind me. I'm running as a Democrat, and I'm very much a Democrat. The values of racial equity, economic equity drive what I do every day. When I got on the school board 8 years ago, there were many other ideological battle lines. There was white teachers were being pitted against black parents, union versus chamber, and I was very much in the middle of those battles. And where we're at now is a community of people who recognize that even though we might have differences of opinions, if we work together for the children, then we have a good school system. And so even though I work probably more than most public officials have on public employee unions, I've also strongly benefited the Chamber of Commerce. And because this is a much different and much better city to live in today because the reputation of Grand Rapids Public Schools. And so it's this time of ideological battle lines that I enter into running for Kent County government. And I think that the strength of my strengths have been bringing about collaboration, and being one that, even though I have strong values, being willing to work with people from different perspectives and come to the best possible conclusions. And so this is a county government that will likely have Republican leadership, and it, being right is important at times, but moving the county forward, moving the communities forward, and so that's the work I want to continue. I'm really blessed that I had the opportunity to do it on a school board for 8 years in a nonpartisan fashion, where really what matters is, do we have a contract? Do we have a building for the schools? Does the community trust the people who are taking care of their children when they go off in the morning? And so this is the work I want to do. Superintendent Nill encouraged me to run for the school board. It's very difficult for me to consider leaving the school board at this time. Superintendent Nill encouraged me to run. She thought I could influence the work of the district by influencing the resources that were available to children in the city, and those are the resources I want to do. I want to work for better parks and safer housing conditions, and early childhood education, and better mental health services, and the county has resources. So one of the ideological battle lines I do stand on is that I do believe that public government can improve the lives of the community of the people that live there. And this is the work I want to bring to the county. Thanks.
Thank you, Tony. And at this, I do have Paul's going to be having an announcement, tell you what's coming up. Those who have a 1 hour butt like I do, there's relief coming. We have an idea. At this time, Harold Mass, come on up.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to introduce myself and to be able to talk. And I'm going to use my previous presentation and taping at WKTV as a little bit of a takeoff for this year. What I emphasized when I was interviewed by WKTV, which is the Wyoming, Kentwood, Granville public access TV station, was that I've been a politician, I guess I would say a politician, but I've been elected official in the local environment for 32 years. And you can see it by my gray hair probably, and by a little bit of my demeanor, but I really feel committed to continuing to serve and serve my constituents in the 12th District. The 12th District of Kent County represents about half the population of the east part of Wyoming and another part of West Kentwood, basically between Kalamazoo Avenue and Clyde Park, on both sides of Division Avenue, running from 60th Street to roughly Alger Street. I border Jim Talon's on the north side, I think Candace Chavez on some of the north side. But my district is really changing a lot. It has changed over the last 18 years that I've represented it. It's much more diverse. It is a very diverse population, but I'm proud of that. I have a diverse family. I think a lot of people know that, but I've raised a family with diversity in my family, and some 45 years ago we adopted our first child, and then 42 years ago a second child, after having two naturally born children to my wife and I. But I guess I bring with me the experience and the educational background that I have. I'm a Calvin College graduate, but I'm also a University of Iowa graduate school graduate. So whenever Iowa visits the state of Michigan, I'm a little torn because my kids have all gone to Michigan State University, but I appreciate the diversity that occurs there too. All of my life, I have been involved with human services. I've spent many years at Pine Rest Christian Mental Health Services in their administration, 28 years, but my most satisfying career track was 10 years as executive director of Genesis Nonprofit Housing. And I worked a lot with people with disabilities, people with mental illness, some veterans, and forming housing developments for people with low income and disabilities. And we've got some of those placed throughout the community. My most satisfying time and accomplishments that I've been proud of as a county commissioner the last 18 years has been really involved with the senior millage, That's passed through 3 different times now over the past, 18 years. The initial millage in 1998, I was part of getting that on the ballot, and we passed it, and that now is bringing in about $10 million extra for our low-income seniors in the county. I was very active in the RAPID system. Dave Volkowski talked about the failure of the county commission some time back, and that was prior to my time on there, of actually forming a countywide system. And when I was on the representing the city of Kentwood on the RAPID board, we went back to the county commission again and said, let's form an authority of at least the 6 cities, and then we were able to successfully get some millage passed. I worked very hard on passing the millage for the most recent RAPID system, the line running down Division Avenue. I've also very involved with the veterans. I am a veteran. I served during the Vietnam conflict. I didn't serve in Vietnam, but I served 3 years active duty and then another 25 years as a reserve duty, so I'm a retired military, very active in veterans affairs, legislative director of Michigan AMVETS. So my whole career, my whole life has been spent solving issues, trying to improve human services conditions, both within my family and within the community, and I want to continue to do that again for a couple more years. My website is haroldjmass.com. Please visit it. I'm not challenged as a primary, but I'm on the general election in November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having this forum for all of us, and it's a very good turnout. I am Carol Hennessy. I am the commissioner for the 14th District, which means very little, but it's the west side, large portion of the west side, a little bit on the Belknap area, downtown, and in the southwest. But if you live in the southeast, that's not one of my addresses. Every other part of the city is. And I am there, and I regard myself as being there to represent the city interests to the Kent County Board of Commissioners. I came to this from having a long background in volunteering for the community and have continued that. And then I've carried that further as Commissioner Mast works with seniors, so do I. I am on the Senior Millage Review Committee, and we are making very good use of all of your taxpayer money that goes to seniors. Every year we meet for a full week, and actually the planning goes in for months, but we meet for a full week, review the services provided by every one of our 40-some providers, and then we allocate the funds that are available for the next year. I'm also on the Area Agency on Aging of Western Michigan. It's a mouthful. 9 counties in the city of Grand Rapids. And again, this one you cooperate, you collaborate, and you plan for how you're going to be giving services to the seniors. And if you ever want to use any of these services, you just call the AAA of West Michigan, and they will help put you in touch, and they will help describe to you what's available. But this is what Kent County does. We do provide many of the services that you use in your everyday lives, and sometimes you don't even know it. But you know, when little kids come to the door, when I'm going door to door, I'll say, what do you know about Kent County government? Well, they don't know. And I'll say, do you ever go to Millennium Park? Oh, yes, they know Millennium Park. Kent County no longer directly operates the zoo. We own the property. But that's another one, that the nonprofit operates the zoo now, and we own the property, and we're good stewards of it. I am on the zoo board, and as a West Sider, I look out for both the park and the zoo. And then there's a lot of cooperation and collaboration that's being done. It's one of our little bywords. You read it everywhere, cooperation, collaboration. Well, Kent County, within its own fiscal restraints, does look for these new opportunities. One that's being done now is our equalization department. Has a cooperative arrangement with Montcalm County and soon with Allegan County. And so this is using everybody's taxpayer money, the money that goes to the counties, in a responsible, new way of looking at it kind of way. The Grand Valley Metro Council, of which I'm a member for the representing Kent County, is another group that looks at water resources, looks at transportation, and does it on a very broad basis that goes beyond. It has Ottawa County, Barrie County communities participating along with Kent County communities. And so these are all things that we are doing within Kent County to be responsible and to be progressive and forward-looking. And so I would look for your support in November, and appreciate being here today. Thank you.
And last but not least, I have the pleasure of introducing Thurston, who is actually a friend of my family's and a friend of ours. But Thurston, a very distinguished name, Thurston, that should be easy for you to win. Thurston Willoughby.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, everyone who put this together. Reverend Mayhue and Mr. Hank called me son. I appreciate that. And Kate, appreciate the opportunity to come out today. I'm not going to be before you long, but I am running for Grand Rapids Public School Board. And I'm simply running because I have a great passion for youth. I serve as a youth pastor currently, and have been doing so for about 6 years. I was born and raised here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I went to Grand Rapids Public Schools. Just recently, I completed my own school goals, which was to achieve my doctorate degree. And so I received both my doctorate and my master's degree in theology and Christian business management. Our children sit at the heart of all of us. I don't have any side interests. I don't consider myself a politician, but I have a heart and a passion and a desire to see all of our children succeed. Whether or not they're going to go forward and attend college, I'm not sure. But they're going to do something. And I want to be a part of the team that's currently working and doing such an awesome job. I want to be a part of that team that helps take our children to the next level. And ultimately, it's going to do, amazing things for our city. I keep hearing people here use the word amen, and almost sounds like we're in church, but that's just what's on the inside. But I love children. I love our community. I love the city of Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm looking forward to being a successful candidate for the Grand Rapids Public School Board and serving you and your children. They're going to be either college ready or career ready, and it's going to take all of us to make that happen. In closing, don't forget to vote August 2nd. You won't see my name on the ballot then. I won't have a race then, but November 8th, I'm looking forward to your support. Thank you.
All right, all right. How about a nice round of applause for everybody here? You have been a great audience and everything. So we're getting ready to bring our event to a close. And what we want is the candidates to come out and kind of stand right here. And then the audience, if you want to come down and talk to the candidates, you can. But we're going to close out right now. And we just thank everybody for showing up. We don't want to go a minute further because I know about overkill. And you have been an excellent audience, and we want you to come back to our next event. Is that right? All right. So thank you so much, and we appreciate you for coming out today, and bring the candidates down front and come out and talk, ask the candidates questions if you want. You can stay as long as the candidate will sit and listen and talk to you. That's all right.